Welcome back, True Seeker. Another death brought to my attention in the Minneapolis area. A former principal at an elementary school was found dead parked in his car outside that same school he retired from years ago. And his name was Joe Epping, and he was 67 years old. And here we are talking about all these ritual sacrifices in connection to Super Bowl 52, which is about to be hosted in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Notice the name Joe Epping equals 52. Same as Minnesota, also 38, like Minnesota. Joe Epping also has gematria of 38 and 97, like death, also like the name Prince, who was murdered for this Super Bowl, among other things. Possibly coincidental, but what jumps out right away is the gematria of 146 as well, number connected to Jesus Christ, who's connected to sacrifice. We just saw the scripted play in the Minnesota Vikings miracle by the 146th draft pick of that team. Remember, Jesus Christ equals 146. The word Jesus alone equals 61. Just like miracle, the Minnesota Miracle, the 61-yard touchdown by the 146th draft pick. Diggs. If you missed my work on that, go back and check it out. There's a whole lot more to it. But as for him dying at age 67, he was the vice principal at Eden Prairie Elementary School. Notice blood sacrifice and Eden Prairie 67. I predicted Prince's death. I talked about how he had the number 67 and 118 coded on him. He died a span of 67 days from vanity. His girlfriend who was murdered. Then him. They said they found his body at 9:15 p.m. Monday night. This was news the next day, which was yesterday, Tuesday, the day that we heard about a lot of Minneapolis Super Bowl 52 connected deaths. All covered on this video channel. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, click my videos, and just look at the videos I've covered in the last 24 hours. A lot of celebrity murders, all of them being reported on this date. So, the date of his death, the date of this news was a date with numerology of 62. We saw a number of people die on this date as well. In the story, they mentioned that the school is on Braxton Drive. They want you to have that detail. The media reports by this code. Braxton Drive, 62, like sacrifice, like Minneapolis, like Super Bowl LII, which is about to be in Minneapolis. This town, Eden Prairie, just like Minneapolis, it's on the 44th parallel, the 93rd meridian. 9:15, when they report that they found his body, numbers that show up a lot in ritual murder, that's when the hands are on the 9 and the 3. And remember, the number 93 represents Saturn, the keeper of time, connected to death and judgment. Minneapolis, Minnesota also has the gematria of 93. When you write out 93, it sums to 62 and 55, just like Minneapolis. And 62 and 55, both numbers of sacrifice. All of these numbers coded together often, and it's no coincidence that Minneapolis has these numbers in light of its coordinates. This entire nation, established by Freemasons who abide by this code, who murder by this code, who script sports games by this code. That's why I said last year at the conclusion of Super Bowl 51, where Tom Brady had 93 offensive plays, 62 of which were passing, I said chalk Tom Brady up for Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And here we are. By understanding this code, I said after week 3, chalk the Philadelphia Eagles up for the opponent to face the New England Patriots. Philadelphia Eagles equals 93. Anyhow, this man was the principal. This is the 98th season of the NFL, concluding in Minneapolis. Principal 98. 55, we already know Minneapolis. Principal also sums to 53. NFL, 53-man roster. 53-yard wide field. The Vesica Pisces is what the shape of the football is. Vesica Pisces in gematria equals 53. They said he was the principal for 27 years. Ritual 27, 27 club. That's what it is for this man. This is a murder ritual. This is murder by numbers. This is why you have the death of a 52-year-old in the news today, Lori White, the country singer, and why you have the death of a 38-year-old Joel Taylor from the TV show Storm Chasers. These are numbers of death right here. These are numbers of Kabbalah, by the way. You know, this is all Kabbalah. Show you something. Kabbalah, 38 and 52. The belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number, which is called Gematria, 38 and 52. There's a song out there, Gematria, the killing name, which doesn't have the Gematria of 52, but it does 38. Notice killing, and watch what happens when I put in Gematria, 74 as well. English also 74. All of these numbers interrelated. You know, this code goes back to Hebrew. Notice the overlap with Hebrew and English. There's a whole lot more to this. But understand, this is the code. Listen to the song Murder by Numbers, recorded in 83 by the Police. Murder 83. Always major murder rituals for the Super Bowl. Football 83. Murder by Numbers in 83. And again, most important thing, think about who recorded that song. The Police. Murder by Numbers. Think that was a coincidence? The Police didn't write that song. Sting didn't write that song. The people who control the recording industry wrote that song. Those are the same people who control the police, who control media, who control government, who use police officers as their henchmen. All throughout the world, the history of policing, people don't know this, but it's an absolute fact. Everywhere police have gone, you know, police is only something that's been with the world for not even 200 years. But in the time of police, what's always happened in every community is crime has risen, drug use has risen, murders have risen. You know why? Because the police are largely responsible for all of this all over the world. Police are hired henchmen. They are here to serve the tyrants. They are here to work for the cabal, which equals 52, like Kabbalah, like authority, like government. It is the police who are often killing these people and then reporting nothing suspicious, you know? Nothing suspicious. The person just died in their sleep. You guys seen that show on Netflix? What's it called? Bloodline. They made that episode, or they made that show 33 total episodes. It's about family. Crucial scene near the end of that show. The crucial scene is you see this man helping cover up a murder. And anybody who's watching the scene's asking, well, who is this guy? How's he going to cover up all of his own DNA? He's got long hair. His hair's all exposed. Why isn't he worried about the crime scene and contaminating it with his own DNA? If you see the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. This man comes in to cover up a murder. He's a pro at it. He's all worried about the other guy's DNA, but you're like, man, this guy's got long hair. I mean, his DNA's got to be all over the place. Well, you find out about 15 minutes later, the reason he's not worried about it is because he's the guy who comes in and investigates the crime scene, you see? He's not worried about his DNA being there. He's the investigator. These shows aren't made just by anybody. They're made by the people who control this world. That's why there's so much predictive programming in television. That's why there's so much truth. I mean, that's why there is more truth in TV and movies than the nightly news, which is just meant to totally mock you. Not that the TV shows and movies aren't either, you know? But they're telling you how they get it done. How they cover up all this stuff year after year. It's because the authorities, the people who report the facts, they're the ones carrying out the wrongdoing, you know? They murdered a man. And in case you're new here, I've been explaining about this for a long time. Freemasonry controls education throughout the world. Freemasonry is about control. Of course, you want to control education. You want to control the programming that the minds of the young masses receive. So this man, Freemason, probably not that great of a person, you know. Our education system's completely bankrupt, and it's because it's controlled by people who have bankrupt morals. People who are in a secret society, people who care more about, you know, their own status and well-being and success than things that actually matter, such as living in a decent world, you know. Education system that's not based on nonsense, not based on confusing the minds of young children and misleading them from day one. Why do you think they're still teaching kids about Christopher Columbus? You know? They teach kids about all the lies in this world. The Titanic, people don't know that's a major lie. Titanic was the event that got us more enslaved because all the people who opposed the Federal Reserve who had the money to fight it, they were all murdered on that ship. All planned. That's why J.P. Morgan, who financed the boat, got off before it sailed. That's why every young person learns about that story. It's mocking that event. Got an agenda catapulted through. The central bank, which controls money, which is controlled by these same people that controls all things. You know? Look up Titanic. It equals 113, like mainstream, like dishonest, like fiction, like bullshit, like politics, like not true. It's not coincidental. The Titanic was written about more than 10 years before it sank in the book Futility Wreck of the Titan, about the biggest ship ever built that sinks on its first sail after it hits an iceberg. From the day the Titanic sank to the day the Federal Reserve was established was 671 days later, which is the 113th prime number. Do it all. Go to date calculator, punch in the date the Titanic sank, the date the Federal Reserve established, you'll see. We're living out an agenda. The agenda also includes murdering people, like Joe Epping. You know. Until next time, truth seeker.